How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. It is Tuesday here on the show, and that means we have got Raw Fallout. Last night's show is in the books, and a lot of stuff happened. No Rock. That's first off. Rock did not appear on the show last night to promote the new Fighting With My Family movie, but pretty much everything else expected did happen. Ric Flair birthday party ended with Dave Batista destroying Ric Flair and challenging Triple H, which will be one of the top matches at WrestleMania, Triple H versus Batista. We had the return of Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, returning from his battle with leukemia, announced that he is in remission and he is back. We'll find out if his first match back is going to be at Fastlane or at WrestleMania, but he did a physical angle last night. He has been training for his in-ring return, as we talked about yesterday on the show, and he is back and ready to go. We got a match lined up for Elimination Chamber, which was bizarre. Bayley pinned Nia Jax, and then they announced Nia Jax and Tamina getting a championship match at the Fastlane pay-per-view. Not everything is perfect in WWE. Thought a lot of stuff was great on the show last night. Some of the stuff was somewhat baffling. We could talk about all of that. We got a new name announced for the WWE Hall of Fame. Ironically, we just mentioned him yesterday, the Honky Tonk Man. He is, in fact, going into the WWE Hall of Fame. He joins DX as official entrance into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. We can talk about that today and Smackdown tonight and so much more. Whatever's on your mind, you can give us a call. The phone number, toll-free, 844-411-5411. That is toll-free, 844-411-5411. You can send your text messages to 425-780-7566. Pretty much whatever's on your mind from pro wrestling last couple of days is fair game, and we'll be back in a moment to kick it off. Wrestling Observer Live. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Lots to talk about here today, stemming from the Raw show last night. Return of Roman Reigns, the return of Big Dave Batista. They are, in fact, setting up the three-way at WrestleMania with Ronda and Becky and Charlotte. All the main things we expected to happen, with the exception of no Rock on the show, but things happen. So we don't just swing for the fences, we hit a home run. This from WrestlingObserver.com. While calling back to when he first revealed his diagnosis, Roman Reigns appeared at the start of tonight's Raw, announced his leukemia is officially in remission. He announced the big dog is back. As he was going to the back, Seth Rollins' music hit, they hugged on the stage. Reigns began and ended tonight's announcement by thanking the fans. He went around the ringside area shaking hands with audience members and hugging them, told the fans he missed them, saying there's no other job or fan base like this one. His mom was there, his wife was there, The Rock's mom was there with him. He said he was terrified and insecure. When he first announced his diagnosis, he didn't know if he wanted to share the secret with the world. He didn't know how everybody would react. But by the time he got home, the thoughts and prayers he received were overwhelming. Reigns says it wasn't just WWE fans. It felt like everybody was showing him love and support. He said with the strength that everybody gave him, he could do anything. Gave him a new purpose. Winning titles and climbing the mountain in WWE is still important, but having the ability to step into the ring every single night is what matters the most. He said he's going to use this platform to raise awareness and support for those who are in need like he was. He appeared on Good Morning America today. I have not seen it yet. If he said anything that we don't know about, please let me know. I haven't heard anything this morning, so I presume there was no real new information there. But if there was, let me know. And overall, it was one of not only the greatest segments in WWE history, Raw history, I thought it was one of the best segments in wrestling history. Just a great, feel-good, happy moment. Everybody was so happy to see him. He was so happy to see everybody. Not one boo, except he had one line where he said something about he wasn't sure that he should have told everybody, and they all booed, and he got that look on his face like, oh, here we go. But then they cheered him and chanted welcome back. So I loved it. What'd you think, Mike?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it's the most human thing you can get, somebody talking about whether they're going to live or die in the specter of cancer and all that. It was awesome. It was not it wasn't a wrestling moment. It was just a great life moment on a wrestling show. And yeah, it was tremendous. And I only saw a little bit of, just little clips from Robin Roberts' interview this morning, who also suffered from cancer, and her interview with Roman Reigns. The little bit I saw was, again, it wasn't groundbreaking or anything like that, but it was also very nice. He came across fantastic, a great representative for WWE. So, yeah, I mean, now that that's out of the way, where do we go since he's back now? We'll see what direction they decide to go in, and if this changes WrestleMania at all or anything like that. But great for Roman Reigns to be back, and, from a selfish point of view and from just a wrestling point of view, he is very, very welcome back and needed to be back.
Hate to bring this up, but I gotta, because, people have texted about it, and I've seen it on the internet. Before I even talk about it, I just want to tell everybody something about the internet, okay? Get off the internet. The internet's great for a lot of things. Hey, it's great for this website. It's great for this audio show if you're streaming. But if you're going on social media and reading stupid things, and you're reading stupid things on Twitter, and you're reading stupid things on Facebook, and you're reading stupid things on a message board, just step away from the computer and go outside in the real world. Because the world of social media is not real life. This person here says there are people who think the leukemia was fake to get Roman over. Let me tell you something. Nobody in real life thinks that. There's some morons on the internet that like to write stupid stuff. They like to start their conspiracy theories, and they like to find other stupid people who will stir the pot on the internet. But if you watched the show last night, there wasn't one person in the crowd that thought that Roman Reigns faked his leukemia to get over. Not one person. Everybody knew that it was real. And you know what? In real life, everybody knows that it's real. There may be an idiot here or there that thinks that WWE faked this or Roman Reigns faked this, but it's not real. It's not the real world. It's not everybody. It's not even anybody. So don't worry about it. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up?
Hello, Brian. I would first off like to start by saying, way to go to Roman Reigns. That segment was awesome. But I would actually like to address a topic that seemingly everyone involved is not addressing, which is Mr. Bryan Alvarez. You will not address what is wrong with your message board. You will not.
We're going from Roman Reigns to my message board.
Admin Tony will not mention anything about it. I would have loved to talk to people about the Roman Reigns segment on the board.
Hold on, let him get this off his chest.
Okay.
But the big threads kept breaking. It is also almost impossible to type with an Android on the mobile version of your board. It is a board that we all pay for every month, and I would just like to know why you will not mention anything about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Brian, why?
Excellent call here. Because I'm the tech guy. Do you know that we've been working on the board for months now? And if there was a simple solution to these problems, it would have been done a long time ago.
It. That's a simple
Clearly,
solution.
There's not a simple solution to the problem. And you know what happens when the big threads break?
What's that?
I click on them, and then I click on the last page, and I find out where I was. I move on with my life. I apologize for the problems with the board, but you know what? The website right now is at an all-time high as far as the content that's being delivered, the different shows, the news, everything. So I'm afraid that the reason for that is because there are a lot of things that are at a higher priority than whether a thread is breaking on the message board. I had no problem last night going on there and reading the thread from Raw. I have no problem going on there and reading other threads. Yes, sometimes the threads break. I can still read the threads. Yes, when I type on my iPhone, the punctuation vanishes. You know what? Have you ever been on a message board on the internet? Nobody has any punctuation anyway, okay? Obviously, I would love for the board to be fixed. Tony would love for the board to be fixed. It's not a simple solution. If it was a simple solution, it would have been fixed a long time ago. We're working on it. We've been working on it for a long time now, and we'll continue to work on it to try to make it better. But thank you for the call. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up? Going once.
Hello?
Yes, what's up?
Hello. This is Jackson in Chicago. Hey, Mike. Hey, Brian. So, long-time listener, first-time caller. I want to talk about Becky. So Becky did screw Becky, and I'm confused by it because in kayfabe, I think she absolutely, at this point, unquestionably has screwed herself. She was unnecessarily paranoid about the doctors. She attacked her bosses. She attacked Charlotte, leading her to get re-injured. In each of these cases, it's her fault. Why are they telling this kind of story with a baby face? Am I missing something? I'm just confused about the overall angle going with her.
Do you watch WWE outside of this?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're still confused that they aren't very good at booking baby faces?
Yeah, it's almost like the moment that they decided to make her a babyface, it was like a ship headed towards an iceberg.
Yes.
Was how it felt.
Yeah.
But did either of you feel like you have a sense of what kind of story they think they're going to tell? Like a self-sabotager who eventually figures it out and stops self-sabotaging?
Yeah,
I think the story that they're telling is just it's a in some ways a washed version of Steve Austin meets a washed version of Daniel Bryan. And could they be doing things in a different way? Yes. I don't think that they are hurting themselves though, getting to the ultimate goal of her standing on top of WrestleMania and everybody losing their minds, because that's the part you're not factoring in is no matter what Becky does right now, the crowd is reacting in a positive way, even if some of the things that she's doing may come off as a little bit paranoid or self-defeating. That's babyfaces do that sometimes.
When we come back, we'll talk about the Ric Flair birthday party. There was actually someone did go into the cake, but it was after the show went off the air, and it was not Ric Flair or Charlotte. We'll talk about that when we come back from the break. Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. You know, on the show today, we've talked about Roman Reigns' battle with leukemia. We've talked about our own message board. But as Triple H said, all of this pales in comparison to Ric Flair's birthday party last night. Now, I want to mention that I want to start off here by saying that, yes, I thought they were going to do something different. They didn't do it, okay? I want to make it abundantly clear, I'm not even saying here that I think my idea was better. I actually really liked what they did last night. Now, granted, at least in my idea, Ric Flair got a birthday party. Flair didn't even get a birthday party last night. Do you realize that they advertised for the people in Atlanta and for the people on television for 3 weeks that we were going to get a Ric Flair birthday party? And at the end of the day, Flair never appeared before the people. He didn't even come out in front of the people in Atlanta after the show went off the air. They sent out Jinder Mahal, and Kurt Angle gave an angle slam through the cake. So if you were in Atlanta and you wanted to see Ric Flair's birthday party, you never even saw Ric Flair one single time out there in front of the people. Now, only thing I got to say about this, and again, I'm not saying that my idea was better, okay? I liked what they did. I thought it was great. I think Batista's awesome. But I will say this, for everybody that is trying to tell me that there's no way that they could have done my idea because Becky Lynch interrupting Ric Flair's birthday party would have had her come across as a heel, all I have to say is, have you never watched professional wrestling? Have you never watched Ric Flair? Like, if you don't think that they could figure out a way to have Becky Lynch crash Ric Flair's birthday party and put a beating on Charlotte Flair and have Becky Lynch get over as a babyface, then, like, you've done nothing but watch Raw for the last couple of years and have zero faith in this company. I mean, are you kidding me?
What a silly statement to make. I mean, how the easiest
one other
way
thing,
to
I just want to say one other thing real quick.
Good.
Do you know what happened when Becky appeared last night? Do you know the first thing that she did?
What'd she do?
There was a tag team match where the heels were beating on Natty. Natty was a babyface in peril. Everybody was cheering for Natty. And the first thing that Becky did was beat the hell out of Natty.
With a crutch.
Did she get booed? No, she was over like a giant babyface. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure that if she would have shown up and ruined Ric Flair's birthday party, not even ruined his party, but gone after Charlotte, tossed Charlotte in the cake, everybody's like, oh my God. I can't imagine the road to WrestleMania, Charlotte going into a cake. It would make it such comedy. You have no faith in pro wrestling. Trust me, this could have gotten over. So I wanted to throw that out there. But I liked what they did.
Wasn't exactly The Rock and Steve Austin singing back and forth, but I don't think somebody getting tossed in a cake would have ruined anything.
They built up The Rock and Steve Austin with a singing contest.
When you're that over, you can do that sort of thing. And
yeah, if she's that over, she would have gotten over.
She's that over. And people are losing their mind. And people have lost their mind. I mean, the easiest way, like you said, the easiest way to get Becky cheered and to make sure that there are no heelish things going on, like Ric Flair going in the cake, is just to beat up Charlotte and have her go in the cake. But that is a lot of words that are wasted right now because they didn't do that. Just one thing back to the last caller, too. Did Becky Lynch not get screwed over by Vince McMahon after apologizing? She's got every right to be paranoid. Now, in storyline or in reality, nobody should be that paranoid there with the thought that they're going to get screwed over or there's going to be a misstep.
Actually, hold on. Let me stop you right there. You're actually wrong because in real life, there's like a ton of fans that are totally paranoid, exactly like Becky, that they're going to screw her over. This actually is playing off reality.
Unfortunately, though, that was built in for a reason because they have made some grand errors in the last couple of years, which is the reason that they're sucking wind and having stars. But again, ultimately, none of this matters at the end, and how everything worked out, I appreciate much more. And just having Batista there, we've already seen an upgrade because we saw a camera catch. Would seemingly catch Batista dragging another cameraman to say, hey, look what I'm going to do on this TV show. So that was a nice start. Now, where was Fifi? Because I would assume...
Don't call her Fifi.
Oh, that's right.
Dave yelling at you.
Dave's been in trouble for less.
Yes.
I don't know what the hell that meant. Anyway, doesn't matter.
I believe
what matters is, where was she? Because she wasn't screaming as Batista was beating up Rick, but she wasn't in the ring, was she? And also, why are all those guys standing there shocked instead of running back to help their friend Rick, who they were all out there to celebrate? Even Braun Strowman in street clothes, smiling and yucking it up with Trips and Steph.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up?
Hey, Brian. This is Travis in Southern Illinois.
Yes, Travis.
I had two quick questions for you. One would be, when do you think we might get a AEW television deal announcement? Do you think that's coming soon? And the second question would be, with the XFL coming down soon and the new other football league, the AAF, not exactly doing real well, what do you think the actual commitment level is there with Vince and the XFL? Thanks.
Well, dude, he's made a gigantic commitment. Over $100 million of his own money has been committed to this. He's paying out the buttocks for various people to run the organization, coaches, players. We'll see what happens. I mean, the whole idea that the reason that he restarted it was because somebody else wanted to buy, which this whole story is preposterous. Dick Ebersol wanted to buy the remnants of the XFL for $50 million instead of just coming up with his own damn name. And then Vince decided, someone else wants to buy, this must be a success. And he started it up again with $100 million of his own money. It's like a storyline that makes no sense, but it's real life.
This is 2019 rich people right here. That's what that is.
It's crazy.
And I can actually make a case for why, even though it was a spectacular failure, that because he made the documentary and because people love nostalgia, even if it was a gigantic failure, then it becomes an ironic thing to have nostalgia about. Like, I can actually see picking up the XFL and paying for the licensing and the remnants. And if you're going to start your own football league, kind of starting it that way because it already rolls off the tongue, even though there was a negative connotation to it. But $50 million? And then on top of that, not doing that and then having Vince step in and go, well, if he thinks it's a good idea and everybody liked the documentary, I'm going to do it too. I don't understand it. I really, really don't understand it. You would think Vince had shaken some of this stuff over, like, wanting to be known for anything other than wrestling with Linda and where she has gotten to, and to look at his daughter and the way she has grown her tentacles into different types of things and picking up that fellowship and some of the other stuff she's done. But he just can't help himself. And it is, to me, a gigantic waste of money. The AAF has been far better set up. And you see the situation situation they're in. You know, there's some things that the XFL can do to keep themselves afloat for a little bit and to kind of rattle the cage and get attention for themselves. But ultimately, it just seems to me like they're throwing a lot of money into a big pit.
As far as AEW, when they get a TV deal, I'm sure they'll announce a TV deal. I have no idea. No idea when that could be. It's all negotiations. Let's go to one more call, then probably going to do text messages. You're on the air. What's up? Going once. Going twice.
It's a fitting way to end the calls today.
Let's try it again. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, boys. How are you? It's Sabah from Jersey.
What's happening?
What's going on? You know, I really thought the Roman thing was really well put together last night. He looked like he was genuinely happy, you know, that he was returning. And I think he finally got that thing that was missing with Roman and him, you know, always getting booed. You got that, you know, the real life storyline where you finally
he's real.
You see Joe.
He's a real guy.
You see Joe. Right, exactly. You finally, you know, broke that barrier between Joe and the character Roman, which I thought, you know, he just looked genuinely happy being there, and it was good to see him back.
You know what's funny, Savon, is whenever they allow people to be real, everybody totally gets behind the people. But they refuse to do that 99% of the time. They got to write stuff, they got to script stuff, they got to have people play characters, and I just don't understand. Like, it's patently obvious. Let people be real, and the fans will get behind them. But they don't let people be real 99% of the time.
Well, you know, I couldn't agree with you more, because that scripted promos that they force their superstars to read about, I don't know what it is. Do they think that the guys are gonna, because of a live mic, maybe go off script and say things that they're not supposed to say? I mean, these guys it's a job, correct? So I don't understand why they script these promos and not let these guys and gals, just talk and just be real. And
well, there is one aspect to it. I want to thank you very much for the call. This ain't like the old days where everybody goes territory to territory and they practice their promos and they do localized promos and they interview all the time. I mean, we're talking people coming up from the Performance Center, a lot of them, and, you know, indie scene. A lot of guys nowadays is all about the in-ring, and the interviews are very, very secondary. So you don't have necessarily a lot of guys that can go out there and be great on the microphone without being scripted. Now, obviously, there should be a way to try to figure out how to. I mean, maybe NXT needs to be more interview-heavy. Maybe it needs to be more promo-heavy. Maybe they need to let the guys in NXT go out there and do unscripted promos and do them on the road and try and figure out how to do this. But you throw a guy out there, like, no offense to No Way Jose. How many promos do you think that No Way Jose has done unscripted in his lifetime? Are you going to throw him out there and just have him do an unscripted promo and get over? They have no faith in that. So they write him something, and he can't read that either. I mean, maybe he can. I shouldn't say that about No Way. I don't know anything about No Way Jose. But anyway, back in a moment with more Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Let's head to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
It's Tony in Omaha.
Yes, Tommy.
First question. Mike, is it your birthday?
It is.
Wow, happy birthday, Mike.
Happy birthday, Mike. It's my birthday, too.
I didn't know that.
Hey, happy birthday. Shut up, Brian. Don't try to, like, you know, suck up now and act like you care. You don't care about our birthdays.
Would you shut up?
Happy birthday, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you. Two quick things. I was one of the people having to combat my idiot friends last night with them thinking the Roman's leukemia was fake. Because why wasn't there any updates? Why did he come back looking even better? Things like that. And my question, though, is with PFL being added to ESPN Plus and to ESPN 2 and having Kayla Harrison there, her being at 155, will this lead the wave of finally getting uniform weight classes for both men and women in MMA?
Uniform weight classes?
I don't think so.
Wait, what does that even mean? We have uniform weight class. Are you talking like going all the way up to 220?
Absolutely.
That's not going to happen, buddy.
No. There's not.
I mean, the issue... Go ahead. It's your birthday.
No, go ahead. It's your show, boss.
So the issue is there's just not enough talent. Like, how many 170-pound female MMA fighters do we have? Anybody? No. In any organization? I mean, we can look at, like, Japan, where they just have open weight, and, I mean, they'll put anybody together. I mean, where are all the 185-pound women, the 205-pound women? There's just not enough.
Well, you know,
they have two women at 145.
They'll put them together, but even, do you remember the push that maybe because Bob Sapp is going to change the way that we're doing things, there needs to be a super heavyweight division? And there was the same issue. How many people cut to make it to 265 in the States? You know, there are very few. And how many people outside of Japan could fight in a super heavyweight? And I think maybe Pride did it, or somebody actually ended up ultimately doing it. But what you got were basically more than anything, big sloppy fights. It's just the talent pool isn't there. And there's too many belts anyway. And I'm a proponent, you know, in boxing, if you work the weight classes correctly, you're going to have a lot of weight classes. But the reality is people are still manipulate the weight classes. There's 3 people. In the UFC now, there's 2 people to a belt. There's an interim champion and a champion. They're having 2 interim title fights coming up here at the beginning of April. It's already hard enough to try to keep all this stuff under control, where if you don't have a deep talent pool, the last thing you need to do is have a bunch more titles. You can have fights without titles, especially when you have somebody like Kayla Harrison, who's you know, they have to do basically what they did with Kung Lee, with K1 for a while when they were promote him. It's like he's part of the show, but he's doing these sand show boxing things because we don't have anybody we want to face him, or we don't have anybody you want to put in there. Same thing with Kayla Harrison. She just is going to have to be in basically exhibition type of professional fights until maybe you can match somebody up or build up enough competition to be worthy enough to have a title. But she doesn't need to have it. She's a former U.S. Olympian, and there's other ways to promote people for fights without titles.
Premier says Becky did screw Becky. Actually, this may be the guy that called, because he asked the exact same question that the guy who called asked. Why are they telling a story where the babyface self-sabotages? She was paranoid about the doctors. Anyway, the point is, why are they making all of her obstacles self-imposed? Seems like a recipe for people to check out and stop caring about her. I thought you and Dave said the triple threat wasn't going to hurt the build. Listen to me.
What?
Listen. I'm going to give you a wrestling lesson here, my friend, and everybody else listening. You can analyze everything. We do it every day. We analyze every storyline. That's the job here on this show, okay? Sometimes we think something's going to work. Sometimes we think that something's not going to work. I'll give you a great example. When Roman announced his leukemia and they used it as a way to try to turn Dean Ambrose heel, I said this sucked. It's going to backfire. It's stupid, okay? Guess what? It sucked, it backfired, and it was stupid. However, there have been other storylines that they have done where I thought that they were going to work or they weren't going to work. And in fact, I was wrong. And maybe I thought that something was not going to get over and it got over. Or I thought that something was stupid and it ended up working, okay? It doesn't matter what you think about anything. I mean, it matters. You can have your opinion. But at the end of the day, if it works, then it works. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So you can analyze this Becky storyline and convince yourself that it's not going to work. But we have zero evidence that it's not working. Last night on the show, we had people chanting for a triple threat match. Last night on the show, Becky Lynch came out. She attacked a babyface with a damn crutch, and she got cheered like crazy as she was dragged out of the building. At the house show on Monday night, Charlotte Flair was there. She was the most over babyface on the show. The people there loved Charlotte, okay? It's either going to work or it's not. And right now, it's working. It's not hurting Becky. The storyline is not hurting the interest in this match. Maybe you personally don't like it, okay? If you personally don't like something, that's fine. But you cannot extrapolate and go, everybody doesn't like this. Nah. There's zero evidence that everybody doesn't like this. The only evidence that we have is Becky is still over, Ronda is still over, Charlotte is still over, and people seem to be clamoring for a three-way match. Yes, they could screw it up between now and then. Yes, maybe a one-on-one would be better. We have zero evidence that a one-on-one would be better. We only know that what they're doing seems to be working right now. End of story.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you can argue still, and if Do you believe that Charlotte was superfluous to the story and that Becky would be just as hot and the main event would be just as hot, if not more, leading into WrestleMania if it was just her and Ronda? But what they're doing right now is working. And if it is working and Becky is still being put in a great position, which she is, she's got a completely new look now. The attitude has been refined. I mean, what they do after WrestleMania, completely different story. You can fear that, but for right now, just be happy with the way this ride is going because, again, unless this is, and believe me, we'll beat it to death after the fact too. We all will. But if this doesn't end with Becky Lynch standing on top of the main event of WrestleMania, the first ever women's main event, headlining a WrestleMania, if this doesn't end with her standing out on top, then you can have something to complain about. But for right now, I think you're just picking too much.
Person says, Becky got arrested, taken out through a gorilla, so Becky's going to win the vacant title by beating Flair. Terrible! This person says, Bryan, did Ronda give up the title last night till Becky gets into the match? So we don't know what's going on right now, okay?
All we know... How many times was Steve Austin arrested on TV? I'm sorry. Somebody's
all the time.
Dig on that?
All the time. So we don't know what the storyline is. We have to wait and see. But my guess is that Ronda did not vacate the title and it will be vacant going into Mania.
No.
I'm sure that the storyline is she's going to vacate this title unless they put Becky in the match.
And for heaven's sakes, and granted, I guess you can make a case that, well, maybe there was somebody out there that thought Becky was going to come back Steve Austin style, driving his Zamboni at the end of the show to ruin Ric Flair's celebration. But it seemed to be, it just immediately, as soon as the handcuffs went on her, I thought, okay, this is a way to get her out of there, to get Batista in, because we had talked about Batista yesterday, into the main event of that storyline. And that's exactly what ended up happening. They did it in a much better way than I would have anticipated them doing it, but they did. That's exactly what they did, and I'm sure a lot of people thought the same way as soon as they saw her go out.
Listen, everyone, here's a great example. The Royal Rumble, when Asuka tapped out Becky in the middle of the ring, I thought it was absolutely stupid. They did zero follow-up, okay? But let's just say that next week, Vince McMahon comes out on television to address Ronda Rousey, and he says, I know you really want Becky in this match. I don't want you to vacate this title. It's a very, very big moment for WrestleMania. I want to make this right. But I cannot in good conscience just put Becky into this match as a three-way. But I will do this. At the Fastlane show, I will have Becky face Asuka, who beat her clean in the middle at the Royal Rumble. And if Becky can win that match, she can be added to WrestleMania in a three-way. And Becky goes on, and she gets her revenge, she gets her wins back from Asuka, and she ends up in the three-way. They've at least made sense of that submission in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania. I don't know if they're going to do that, but they could.
I like that. And you know what? Just because you did it, and I don't want it for everybody to call up with fantasy booking, but just because you did that, it leaves Asuka without an opponent and lets me have a fantasy in my mind of her and the Ice Princesses against Shayna Baszler and her crew at WrestleMania. I know it really doesn't make any sense, and you'd have to make up a reason for it to be on, but that would be nice. I'd like that.
And this person notes, I'm sick of the Steve Austin comparisons, but if you look back on the Stone Cold Steve Austin-Vince angle, Austin was also often the cause of his own problems. But the surly, trash-talking persona made everybody get behind him. Yeah, Austin screwed himself 1,000 times. He managed to get out of it and still be a babyface.
They do need to have Becky Lynch drive something in and do something. They need to do that with somebody for all of the money that they have. And I'm not saying they should do this all the time and everything, and you don't have to make it so cartoony as it was with Roman and Braun doing it, but they haven't had somebody destroy a vehicle in a long time.
Person says, why would Asuka be involved in the Becky feud? She's completely unrelated. What are you talking about? She submitted her in the middle of the ring at the Royal Rumble before she went in and snuck her way into the Rumble, I might add. Who did she replace again?
Where, in the Rumble?
Yeah, it was Lana.
Yeah,
Lana's involved in this storyline. Maybe Becky should have to beat Lana at Fastlane.
That's less than saying Don Morocco was involved in the WrestleMania 2 storyline with Bundy and Hogan, I guess. But yeah, I guess technically Lana was involved in it. Lana was the glue that drew all of this stuff together. For heaven's sakes. And look, the fact that they get both belts into that main event, too, I think I still think that's a good idea. I think it's a good idea if they keep them together forever, too, but they're probably not going to do that. But for at least right now, again, for WrestleMania, with undefeated Ronda, then you have the two disputed champions, and then you could be all set with everything at the end.
Person here says, what did you think of the belt they were going to give Ric Flair, and will we see Batista tonight? I don't know if we'll see Batista, but pretty sweet belt. And hey, I'm not going to fantasy book here, but I want to add, Flair never got his birthday present on Monday night. So it's not impossible that they present that belt to him next Monday, and Charlotte's out there being annoying and Becky shows up.
Oh, stop it.
Anything's possible.
I guess anything is possible, but don't. No, it's not possible. And people are going to make fun of you for that.
Person says, I loved the pace of the show. Is it Bruce Pritchard? No, it's not Bruce Pritchard. He's not working in production.
It was the lack of Arn Anderson there. That's,
Oh, according to Wrestling Inc., the booing during the Reigns segment was actually because one fan yelled, "You suck!" really loud when it got quiet. The crowd booed him and then immediately started chanting Roman's name to combat it. There you go.
That's wrestling. But, I know this is not something anybody cares about, but I'm waiting for finally Adam Pearce to get thrown by either Becky Lynch or Ronda Rousey.
Did you notice, by the way, about him? He's such a pro. He got in the ring to beg off, and he made sure that he spread his legs as wide as possible and squatted down so he wouldn't be taller than Ronda.
Yes.
It was awesome.
He was very underrated. I always thought got a bad rap with Ring of Honor. There's a reason he's in the position he's in, but he keeps getting built up. Sooner or later, they're not going to stop, and they're going to throw Adam Pearce.
See here. Last night's angle with Ronda reminded me of Cena Punk in 2011. After Punk dropped the pipe bomb, Vince suspended him, but then reinstated him after Cena demanded him do so. Well, yeah, that is exactly the same. Vince told him if he didn't beat him, he would be fired. So maybe they can do the angle where they reinstate Becky. If Ronda loses, they fire her. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Spurs says, what do you think of having Vince in Ronda's corner, Rick in Charlotte's corner, and Steve Austin in Becky's corner at Mania? Truth be told, I don't like it. It's too much. We don't need it.
We saw this with the WrestleMania a couple years ago.
A couple years ago? It was 2000. It's a long time ago. It's 19 years ago, dude.
Hey,
you're an old man now.
A couple years have whipped by and didn't notice.
So listen, that's Raw last night, everyone. Tonight is Smackdown. We've got a lot of stuff coming up on the show tonight, including the contract signing between Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston for their match coming up at Fastlane. Surely something will occur. Of course, I said that at the birthday party. I'm not going to say what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. Something's going to happen to this contract signing.
Contract signing. Somebody's mama might get punched or knocked over like Magnum TA and Nikita Koloff.
You never know what's going to happen, but that's tonight. By the way, very quickly, this year's WWE Hall of Fame class, its second confirmed act, ironically, the Honky Tonk Man.
The greatest Intercontinental champion of all time.
Into the Hall of Fame. WWE is the place to be, he said. For me, it's the only place I ever wanted to be.
Wow, Rockabilly and Honky making it into the Hall of Fame in the same year.
I think Bruce Pritchard wrote that line. So he's heading there, and it'll be him and DX and some others as well. 2019 Hall of Fame. And we're out of time, everybody. We're going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to get off the internet now, thank God. Unfortunately, I got to get off the internet to watch Nitro. Not sure which is worse. 19 years ago this week. We'll talk about it tonight on the show. Thanks, Mike, as always, and a very happy birthday. Callers and listeners, my main man, Dom. Talk to you again next time. Wrestling Observer Live.